Dragon Age is also going to be a mature title. There was a little bit of controversy fueled by ignorant people at Fox News, etc., about the sexual content in Mass Effect. I've heard that Dragon Age is going to have some of those themes as well. And obviously, you don't do it for gratuitous reasons. It's there integral to the story, but a lot of people get the wrong impression. How have you approached this in Dragon Age, and how are you maybe going to try and deflect possible criticism, maybe?
Well, we really don't. We tell the stories that we need to tell. We don't add sex just to, oh, we're shocking by adding sex into the game. If it's part of the story that needs to be there, it's included. Always with all of our games, the romances in the game are always optional. It's never something that's forced on the player. If they're there, like you mentioned with Fox News, our fans kind of defended us, which was great to see. I think they overreacted a little bit. If you've ever seen it yourself, you can always look for it on YouTube or play Mass Effect to see it yourself. It's really nothing worse than you'd get on daytime television. But some people don't like it, that's why we make it optional.
It's still the classic story of video games being seen as the medium that can't have any sex in it. And it's so frustrating as a gamer when, European games, Witcher being a great example, a game that came out, that to me, The Witcher has a lot of commonality, and you guys are, they're cousins almost.
Similar.
And yet, they don't have a problem with that over there. But, another great example would be, you've been playing Fahrenheit.
Oh, yeah.
The North American release was suitably censored. Even though the European release, the sexual content was nothing.
It's always different regions, different values, and we respect that. That's why we try to make as much of that sort of thing optional as possible.
Now, on the violence front, which is another, Dragon Age seems to be going really visceral in its combat.
It is.
Which is going to be, is there like decapitation and other kind of finishing moves?
Here in North America, there are what we call death blows. Some of the regions throughout Europe, things will change a little bit, again, based on regional laws and that sort of thing that we always fully respect. But yeah, there are, as we said, it's a little visceral at times. There are some decapitations, depending on the weapons that you're using. We have, ranging from simple daggers all the way up to giant two-handed mauls for crushing heads. There's a number of death blows that you'll encounter as you play through the game.
Which, when you're talking about those kind of weapons, should be happening. It's funny when you play a game with a guy with a 10-foot sword, then whenever he kills somebody, they just fall over. It's like, it's a little bit unrealistic. So I'll just, two last questions. The team working on Dragon Age has obviously evolved over the years. The core people involved, are they people from other projects that have come on board? Has it always been the same core team for the past 7 years?
We've kept as many people from the original Neverwinter Nights game as possible, but people move on in jobs, for personal reasons as well as, job reasons. The core team now, there are a lot of very experienced BioWareans at the helm. Mark Dara is the project director. He's been with BioWare over a decade, I believe, and has worked on pretty much everything we've ever made. Mike Laidlaw is the lead designer. He's been on Jade Empire. He's worked a little bit on a number of titles. David Gator, an experienced writer. He's also an author, has written the Dragon Age novel, The Stolen Throne. He has another one coming out this October. You can say that he's not that experienced, but the reason he's got great experience as a writer, but he worked on Neverwinter Nights, and he's worked for 6-7 years on Dragon Age Origins. There is nobody with more knowledge about Dragon Age than David Gator. I say that he's inexperienced, but only in the sense that he's so very focused on Dragon Age. His talent as a writer is incredible, and I know when the fans play the game, they're going to read the dialogue, they're going to read the overall story, and especially if they pick up his novels, they'll really see that even though he hasn't worked on that many titles, his skill as a writer is something to be admired.
Do you have an idea of time-wise, if you were to do all the side quests, how much gameplay is in Dragon Age?
Well, as you mentioned, it always depends on how much you do. If you're the sort of person that just likes to get from the very start to the end as fast as possible, you're going to be a lot shorter than somebody that wants to do an optional romance, do a lot of the side quests, explore the world a whole lot. If you're the sort of person that likes to do side quests and really try to get the most out of the game, you're probably looking at about 80 to 100 hours of gameplay your first time through. And we really hope that you play through the game and you say, wow, it was really fun being a human mage. Now I really want to see what it's like being a dwarven fighter. and then you're going to replay the game as a dwarven fighter. So a lot of great choice, a lot of replayability in the game.
Now for the ending, a lot of games that have those moral choices still only end up with ending A and ending B. I'm assuming that Dragon Age is going to have a lot more variety and not just one line of dialogue difference.
Oh no, I won't give away the exact number, but there are multiple endings to the game based on the choices that you make as you progress through the story.
So how long before we can expect to be playing the game?
Dragon Age Origins comes out for the PC and the Xbox 360 on November the 3rd here in North America. The PS3 version will be a couple of weeks after that.
The last thing I want to wrap up with, just you mentioned the tool set, and that's something in Neverwinter Nights that I played with. Never really made anything with it because the learning curve was fairly steep. Are we seeing a little bit of a gentler curve on the Dragon Age tools?
Actually, it's almost the opposite. Neverwinter Nights, we made a tool set that was very accessible to the average person. The Dragon Age tool set is very literally the tool set that we used to create the game. Nothing was really changed. The Neverwinter Nights was a tile-based tool set. This is the dialogue editor, the cinematics editor, the level editor, all the ingredients that went in to make the game. So it is a little bit tougher maybe initially, but it's definitely worth the effort. BioWare is making a new social website at bioware.com that is going to allow builders and fans in general to interact socially. So if you're a builder that really does animations well, but you're not very good at story and you need help, you can find somebody playing in Australia who's really good at story and somebody who's in Poland who's really good at programming, and the three of you can work together to create your own module. So even though it's a little bit more difficult, we're making it overall more accessible by giving you more options.
I think it's a double-edged sword because the more accessible the tools you make, the higher, more quantity of mods you'll get, but then the standard might be a little bit lower. The higher the level of the tools, the higher quality you might expect, but then we're going to see less coming out. But at the same time, you might get some very professional work.
Well, we've got some people already experimenting with the Dragon Age toolset. We have a beta test of it running right now. We've had people using it for about 6 months, so there's already content being created, and it's looking very impressive. We're seeing some of the early work being sent to us, and I'm always amazed at what our fans can do, and they're turning out some really impressive stuff.
Lastly, what's next? Is there already in the pipe the idea for what's the next game in the series, or is that dependent on how well the first game does?
Well, Dragon Age has a lot of hopes. I mean, we are focused on making the first game a great game so that fans really get involved with it and hopefully want a lot of downloadable content, want expansion packs, and maybe someday down the road, Dragon Age 2, Dragon Age 3, Dragon Age 20, whatever may come to it. We'd certainly like to keep it going. That's part of the idea of creating your own IP, but we'll see how the fans react. We're pretty confident that they're really going to enjoy what they get.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to it. It's probably one of my top games for this fall. I'm looking for that deep role-playing experience, which many games have tried lately, but I don't know, none of them have seemed to have lived up to that reputation of the classic Baldur's Gate series, and this is the game that's going to do it for me. So thank you very much for talking to me, and good luck.
Thank you very much for having me.